Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kenyon. All right, guys, so for today's video, I'm gonna be doing my very first hat embroidery job. If you guys have been watching the last few videos, we just got this very expensive embroidery machine and we're gonna put it to use. We're literally just gonna try and do as much as we possibly can with this thing, and hopefully it'll scale into something much bigger. We're gonna try and start up a bunch of brands. You guys notice I got my glasses on because I was working on my website and my eyes start to hurt if I don't have glasses on while I'm on the computer for like over an hour. Probably the first video I've ever done with glasses. And yes, they are prescription. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump straight into this order. I'll show you guys the artwork I was working on earlier, and then we also got to turn the machine on, so we're gonna do that right now. Head over here, throw this thing on, and while that's warming up, I'll go ahead and show you guys the artwork. That's what we're gonna be printing today. All right, so we got the hats that we're gonna be printing right here. There's 18 of them in 3 different colors, and then for each different color hat, we're actually gonna be changing the colors on the design, so I'll have to program that. And then right over here, don't mind the mess, but right over here is where we got the hat framing thingy. It's how we attach the hats to the machines, and we have 2 of these hoops so we can attach a hat while one's printing on the machine. That way we'll hopefully save some time there. This thing shouldn't stop running if we do it right. And my battery's about to die, so I gotta swap it really quick. I'll be right back. All right, so if everything goes to plan, this thing should never stop running. The second it's done with the design, I should just go ahead and be able to put on a blank hat that I was prepping while this one was running. But this is technically my first time that I've ever done this, so I don't know if I can keep up, even though it shouldn't be that hard to put a hat on a frame. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see. So I guess my only real job here is to get the settings right on this thing so it prints properly, and then also make sure that there's always a blank hat ready to get put on and get printed. I ran some really quick numbers. If the print takes 5 minutes, then I should be able to finish this entire job in about 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's if everything goes perfectly, and that's not including the color changes. And then just so you guys know, I haven't like figured out my pricing or anything. The family friend that I'm doing this job for, he actually was just like, let me know what you want. I'm not one to like overcharge or anything. I just genuinely don't know what people charge to get a hat embroidered. I heard depending on how many you're ordering, it could be between like $10 to $15, and that's without the blank. That seems kind of absurd to me, but like I said, I have to do market research and like figure out how much it's gonna cost to run this thing for an hour, and then also I have to factor in labor. Of course, the end goal is to get the price as cheap as possible. That way I can make sure I'm producing at a rate that's gonna compete with other guys who have these things. But I also gotta make sure that we're making enough to actually scale up into an actual shop and start growing everything. So yeah, as I learn more and more about actually fulfilling orders with this thing, I'm sure my prices will adjust. Working on the website right now, that way if any of you guys have any hat orders you want me to do, you'll be able to upload your designs pretty soon and check out. And then if anyone has orders that are over like 20 pieces or 30 pieces, we're gonna go to my buddy's shop who has the giant Tajima embroidery machines, and then yeah, we'll be able to do all those way faster than just using this one. All right, so that's enough talking. Let's go ahead and get to work. All right, guys, I got the wireless mic, so hopefully you can hear me a bit better while I'm doing this job. All right, so first things first, I'm gonna move a stack of hats over there where the framing center is set up. That way they're much closer to this thing. I'm gonna throw you guys on the tripod. All right, so if anyone's new, this is the frame that we're gonna clip the hat onto. This is how you attach it to the machine. That way it's nice and sturdy and not gonna move when the machine's embroidering. It's really tricky getting this thing on, especially the first couple of times, but let's see if I remember how Luis taught me. I forgot I have to grab this stack of backing, is what this stuff's called. And this is gonna go underneath the hat, and it's gonna be embroidered straight into this. All right, so the very first thing I'm gonna do is take one of the pieces of backing right here, and I'm gonna cut it in half. And I'm gonna take this, throw it on like that. Let's grab the first hat. I'm try and line this up as nice as I can. And then for each hat, let's see, I gotta take out the piece that it comes with. Let me grab a light so you guys can see better. All right, so I gotta flip out this inner sweatband piece, and that's just so when we embroider, it doesn't embroider into that piece. All right, so that's flipped out. Now I'm gonna throw it on the frame thingy. I don't know exactly what this thing's called, so don't quote me. The frame prep device or whatever. And let me bring you guys in closer so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so basically there's a red line right there. You guys can see that. And all I'm trying to do is center my hat to that red line. That way my design's directly in the middle. And then once it's there, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this clamp right here. All right, let's do this. All right, that looks good. Gonna put the clip on. All right, there we go. All right, so the last step before we throw it on the machine, we have to grab these 4 clips, and down here on the back, there's 2 metal brackets that they're gonna clip onto. We're gonna throw 2 on each side. Pull this down, make that nice and tight. There's 1, there's 2, and the last one. All right, guys, so this one's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off this thing, and let's throw it on the machine. First, I gotta throw you guys on the tripod. Turn this sideways, throw that on there, and gotta wait for the clicks. It's 2 little brackets back there. And then there's one down here. Those 2 clicks. And that's the 3rd click. All right, we're ready to line it up and then we can hit print. All right, so before we embroider it, I'm actually gonna check my text messages to make sure that I have the colors for the design right for that particular hat, because that would really suck to get that wrong. So let me make sure I do it right. All right, so I got the info off my phone. For the burgundy hats, it's gonna be white and gold. All right, so we have our screen here, and you guys don't need to know what that is, but I'm gonna hit this button and that's gonna cause this thing to move. It's basically just checking to make sure that it's positioned right, which it's not. So I'm gonna go ahead and use these arrows to move it. All right, so logo's programmed on there. Now I'm gonna go to my USB drive, have the design in here, double click that. Oh no, I have 2 files. And we're gonna go ahead and print that one, hit enter. To change the colors, I go here, and the white's already good to go, so I'll hit white. Then we're gonna do gold. So I gotta find which number is the gold. And it's this one, so it's number 14. Hit number 14 on here. Let me double check that. Let's get it loaded up. All right, so you guys probably noticed that the design's upside down, and that's because the hat's upside down, so it's gonna actually just print straight. So don't let that catch you off guard. And I actually don't want this to be the middle of the design. I want it to be straight down the center. Because it's including this right here, and that doesn't really matter. Low key, I don't know how to move this over at all, so I'm just kind of like going through settings to see what's what. This is the first hat. Let's go ahead and hit start, and hopefully it prints correctly. All right guys, so here's how the very first hat came out. I'll give you guys a little close up right here. You can see there's some thread right here that I'm gonna snip off with these things really quick. Let me go ahead and do that. One more in the center of the A right here. And I'm gonna go ahead and slip it off the frame. And then rip out the backing. All right guys, and that is our very first hat. I think it came out super, super clean. I'm gonna go ahead and send him a picture just so he knows what they look like. And while this one was printing, I actually loaded up another one on here. So this one's ready to go. I'm gonna go ahead and swap this one, put it on the machine, get it printed. And while that one's printing, I'm gonna keep doing the same exact process. Hopefully we can keep that thing running nonstop. That would be the best case scenario. And then I'll be done pretty soon here. And then I'm gonna go run them to my buddy's house. So I just realized that the insert that I'm taking out of the hat is actually just backing. It's the same exact thing that I was putting in myself. So I can actually just use the one that's already here. Good to know, good to know. And while I was telling you guys that, we had a thread break. Let me go ahead and fix this. You can see it's freaking out right here. And it's saying it's an under thread break, which means it's down here. I gotta take the hat off completely. And it's probably the bobbin ran out. So let me switch that out. Place that off to the side. And we need to open this up. All right, so as you guys can see, our bobbin ran out. There's supposed to be a real thread in there, so I'm gonna go ahead and refill this. We have a container filled with them right here. Let's go ahead and throw this thing back on. And while we're down there, I'm gonna go ahead and throw some oil in there. Supposed to do this every like 5 hours. It's like a little red dot in there. You guys aren't gonna be able to see it. Close this back up. Should be good to go. So I'm on like the 10th hat and I had a bit of a scare. Where the needle is on the machine, there's also like a little guard to protect the needle or hold down the garment. And that was hitting the little metal piece that's right there. I kind of heard like a loud click and I was like, oh, it's not supposed to do that. And then it had an error code on it and it just said press your foot out of place or something like that. It was this metal piece right here. Anyway, I checked to make sure it still goes up and down. It does. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a new hat on and restart it. Unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to salvage that one. I must have seated it wrong somehow, so I gotta get better at that. All right, I just traced this one, which means it already did the route. So I know that it's not gonna hit the little metal piece back there. Let me go ahead and start this one. By the way, this mistake is totally preventable. I just didn't do the pre-trace because I figured each hat's gonna be the exact same, but I didn't think about the fact that I'm new to this and like I'm not gonna be able to mount each hat perfectly every time. So yeah, that's where my problem lies. Put the new hat on, pulled up the design. Looks like we're good. All right, guys, so I'm finishing up this order. It took a little longer than I thought, actually a lot longer than I thought. It ran me about 2 hours, 15 minutes. Still learning how to speed everything up, make everything more efficient. Let me show you guys how the hats came out. My buddy wanted me to mix up the colors, so here's what we got. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you guys for joining me on my very first hat order. We have a million more to go. Pretty soon we'll be doing like the 3D puff to make the designs really thick and stuff, but that'll just take more practice. All right, I'm gonna end the video here. I'll catch you guys pretty soon. I'm gonna be dropping a ton of videos relating to the embroidery machine and also screen printing pretty soon. So my name is Kenyon, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Peace.